Banderacon, Captain's Logs, Part 1, Infamous. So, I can't exactly remember when it came out. I'm definitely not looking up for you, but Infamous came out on PS3 at some point in the, I'm going to say late 2000s, 2010s. And it came out alongside Prototype. Now, it was very much a bit of a Xbox v PlayStation kind of thing at the time. I originally thought that Prototype was going to hold the cards, but Infamous was the winner, and I'm glad it was. So, I love the absolute fuck out of playing games where you can be a hero. I genuinely don't play as the evil side when given, like, morale choices, and in fact, some of the harder games I've ever played, including Fallout Vegas, stumped me when it made me choose between, instead of a linear sort of XY axis, good and evil, it posed me questions that I couldn't answer by myself. I'll get back to the New Vegas one at a later date, but Infamous 1 was just a really well designed and put together bit of game that you again, I got to play hero, or if you could play actually a really, really horrifying villain in that if you wanted to. The setting was interesting. It had this cool, I would say it was almost, even though it predates it, it was very much like the original Division, where you had like a post-apocalyptic inner city, America, New York, but not New York area. And you actively got to shape how it turned out, whether you sort of did the good thing, helped the cops, helped people get back up on their feet, sharing supplies, you know, doing the rounds, or if you wanted to help the place spiral into further disarray and despair. It's probably the first and to date only time I've ever thought that lightning powers were cool. Genuinely. I've never really given a damn. I don't care if you're a Raiden fan from Mortal Kombat. What's his name? Cole McGrath? I don't know. The main protagonist from Infamous made lightning powers cool, and that's as much to the credit of the designers in thinking of multiple fairly basic and standard ways of making lightning cool. Obviously, it was all done third-person shootery type stuff. You had your direct projectiles, indirect, sniper mode. He may as well have had a gun. But they still made it fun, and they still made it cool, and the kind of post-Assassin's Creed 1... Does it predate Assassin's Creed? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm going to say post-Assassin's Creed 1 sort of parkour-esque elements where you could traverse buildings via free climbing and free running. He had a bit of limited air, like hovering, gliding, rail grinding, stuff like that. It just made it really fun and really cool. Now, normally, if I appreciate this episode's running a little short, I would go on to number 2, which in my opinion is where the meat of the series is, but I want to give that game its own episode. So I'm just going to ramble on for a little bit longer about Infamous 1. Dialogue, absolutely fucking fantastic. In fact, the way they pulled the switcheroo on you in certain points, especially the plot ending, I'm going to go and spoil it for you. The idea that obviously the main dude is the main evil guy is yourself that came back in time to try and unfuck things, was kind of cool. Usually when games do that, it's usually quite weak sauce, and just lacks punch. In this one, it was good. It actually gave a really good explanation for the sort of Area 3 minions, which had like a power boost and had all this kind of odd, not quite future tech. Whereas if I remember correctly, the first boss was one of the mutants like yourself who had the ability to produce like mind-controlling slime. And the second one was a trash man who had like telekinetic powers. Actually, let's put a pin in that for a minute. I did like the way that the generic trash mobs and enemies were each designed around their particular level boss. So I said before, your first lot were like dressed up like kind of generic hoodie gangbangers, but with darkness around the face, which was where they had like been forced to take on this mind-controlling like goop that was produced by the first lady boss. The second lot were basically homeless people and madmen who I think some of them had some form of telekinetic powers based off of him. I don't know how he transferred that, if I'm perfectly honest. And then the third lot were, I would say, almost cyberpunk Oh no, not cyberpunk. Steampunk kind of future tech, and I did like that there was that kind of consistency, and then the game ends on probably one of the best sequel baits that I've ever seen, in that it hints at this quote unquote the beast that is coming. And it does that, and then it really does pay off in the second one. I'm going to give that its own episode. I've just remembered now the main character's name was Cole McGrath, but I was dead certain for a minute that was just the generic name of some kind of semi-famous skateboarder that I'd pulled whole cloth out of my ass. I can't remember the name of his best friend who goofs him around at the sort of 2/3 point of the first game. I do remember how the main villain makes you basically make a decision between saving 10 doctors or your girlfriend, and you get absolutely dunked on either way it happens. I thought it was good. The whole thing was good. It was tasteful. It was still very early though. If I had to make complaints, it was that it did what it got a lot of leeway because it was still fairly early in the whole free roaming open world, explore your own shit at your own pace kind of genre. But the problem is that a lot of the tasks you did to secure a neighborhood or to get upgrades and what have you were really repetitive. It was like deal with 10 listening devices, do 10 roundups, which again, I know I'm singing its praises. This got dealt with, in my opinion, quite nicely in number 2. Overall, it's a damn bright spot in my childhood. I think I went through the entire game in one evening. I was just completely into it, and goddamn if it wasn't worth it. Alright, peace. Thank you for watching this video. I absolutely on principle refuse to do any kind of calls for engagement, so if you enjoyed this video, go outside and touch grass, call somebody that you haven't spoken to in a while, have a drink, stare up into the sky for a few minutes, enjoy life as it is.